Hey.
Alright, so Woj just announced about an hour ago that Damian Lillard is heading to the Milwaukee Bucks to team up with Chris Middleton and Giannis Antetokounmpo. And this is crazy. Finally, this saga's finally over. I think we can all at least rejoice that we don't have to listen to any more trade rumors about Damian Lillard and the Miami Heat and the Portland Trailblazers. The shit's done, finally. So in case you haven't seen the full trade, it was a 3-teamer between the Bucks, Blazers, and Suns. Bucks obviously make out with Damian Lillard. You're gonna have the Blazers, who end up with Drew Holiday, DeAndre Ayton, rookie Toumani Camara. They also get a 2029 first-round pick from the Bucks, plus pick swaps in 2028 and 2030. And then the Suns get Yusuf Nurkic, Nas Little, Keon Johnson, and Grayson Allen. And so let's start with the obvious winners of this trade. The Milwaukee Bucks are now easily the title favorites, in my opinion. They have the three-headed monster of Damian Lillard, Chris Middleton, Giannis Antetokounmpo. They retain Brook Lopez. Obviously gave up Drew Holiday, but that's an upgrade easily from Holiday to Lillard. You lose Grayson Allen, and then you lose your picks, but you're playing for a ring at this point. You don't care about the picks. The thing that stands out to me now with Milwaukee is their defense probably takes a hit, but at the same time, that offense is going to be so good. Plus, you still have Giannis and Brook Lopez, two depoy candidates defending your rim. So at the end of the day, is your defense really even capable of being bad at that point? I am intrigued to see what this backcourt rotation is going to look like, because looking at this current Bucks roster, they have Damian Lillard, who's the only true point guard on the team. They have a whole slew of shooting guards to look at. You got Pat Connaughton, who will likely be the starter to at least start the season. We'll have to see what happens from there. But then you have some fun options like Marjon Beauchamp, Malik Beasley, who they just signed, AJ Green, who's been a decent sharpshooter, Andre Jackson, who was a steal for what they got him at during this most recent draft. So while the backcourt, at least the shooting guard spot, remains a little bit of a mystery, and I'll say backup point guard still remains a little bit of a mystery. They'll probably address that at some point during the season, but at the end of the day, Bucks are title favorites. That's all you really have to know from this. And shout out to Caius, I saw him tweet about it, but if we don't get Spain pick and rolls with Lillard, Chris Middleton, and Giannis, then we are being robbed as NBA fans. Now, next thing I want to talk about is the Phoenix Suns, because in my initial opinion to this trade, I think they're the ones that got the short end of the stick here. Obviously, they made headlines earlier in the offseason by trading for Bradley Beal. They have their own three-headed monster of Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and before I mentioned Bradley Beal. And they finally get rid of DeAndre Ayton. Nurkic isn't my favorite return center they could have gotten for him. I think there were a few options that were a little bit better. In fact, I had some plans to make a DeAndre Ayton fake trade video, but just never quite got to that. But looks like I'm not going to get to it at this point. Anyway, Nurkic is easily a downgrade, in my opinion, from DeAndre Ayton. I know Ayton wasn't the best fit. He was making a lot more money than Nurkic was too, so it makes sense for the Suns to do this deal. I just think that they downgraded. I know everyone's been talking about, oh, Nurkic will be a fine defensive anchor for them, but if we're being real, Nurkic has not been a good defensive anchor since he broke his ankle, and it's not really Nurkic's fault, but it just is what it is at this point. The Suns also bolstered their depth with this trade. They got Grayson Allen, who, was a starter for the Bucks throughout their playoff runs in recent years, so that's solid 3-and-D guy. You get Nas Little, who people have hyped up a little bit this offseason. I'm still not quite sold on him as a player, but he probably will be the starting small forward for this Phoenix Suns team, at least to start the season. So hopefully, I'm rooting for him. I hope he does a good job in that role. And if people are saying is true, that he is set to take a leap, then that would be a huge get for the Phoenix Suns. Because from there, their bench is mostly just a lot of guards right now. Eric Gordon was a big free agent signing. They still have Josh Okogie. They got Keon Johnson in this deal as well, who is another guy that has some upside, but has not quite shown a lot yet. They still have Damian Lee. They added Keita Bates-Diop this offseason. Drew Eubanks and Chimezie Metu, I think, will be good backups to Nurkic. I wouldn't even be surprised if one of them could overtake Nurkic at some point later on in the season, especially since Nurkic just hasn't always been the healthiest guy in recent years since that ankle surgery. And who knows, maybe Bol Bol or Jordan Goodwin ends up being something as well. So while, again, this trade makes sense for the Phoenix Suns. They needed depth. They got depth. They traded DeAndre Ayton, who has been on the trade market for the past, 2 seasons. and it finally gets done. I just worry about the Suns' interior defense because very similar to the Brooklyn Nets big three, I've compared them to that team in the past, especially in a recent video this offseason I did. But that Nets team struggled on defense primarily with rim protection. You know, they cycled through center after center after center, and I hope for the Suns that Nurkic can be the solution at that 5 spot, but I just don't think it is. Especially when you're in a Western Conference that has someone like Nikola Jokic, who I get no one can guard Nikola Jokic. It's been a thing. That's a done deal. But even for the teams without Nikola Jokic, I think getting rim pressure on the Suns team is going to be a very easy way to beat them. And no matter how many points they can score offensively that they can put up, I don't know if it'll matter if their defense isn't that great. And then to wrap up, we're going to talk about the Blazers. I actually think they got a lot of value for Damian Lillard in this trade. They get Jrue Holiday, who is already on the move. Sources are saying that he's going to be flipped for another deal in the near future, which is a great idea considering they already have Scoot, Anthony Simons. They have a lot of guards. They don't need Jrue Holiday. He doesn't fit their timetable at all. Whereas DeAndre Ayton, on the other hand, he fits the timeline. He is a center, which is what they need, as again, Nurkic was aging out and not a part of the timeline. And who knows, maybe Ayton in a new location with new coaching and just a new scenario can finally fulfill more of that talent that people want him to show as the first overall pick. They also get Toumani Camara. To be honest, I don't remember this guy from the draft. I know nothing about him. I'm not going to speak on him because of that, but who knows, maybe he turns into something. He's a 23-year-old rookie. Maybe he can just be a good pickup that helps right away. And then the Blazers also get 3 picks. Obviously, the 2029 first-round pick they get automatically. Then they have pick swaps in 2028 and 2030, which by that point, the Milwaukee Bucks, that 6-8 years from now, it's likely that Giannis will be moved on by that point, and the Bucks could easily be a bottom-feeding team by those years, which would mean that these should be good picks, or at least all right picks, looking ahead in the future. So again, those are great pickups to get 3 picks as well. But as for this season, this Blazers team is probably going to be pretty bad. Their defense is going to be horrendous. At least that much I know for sure. But they should also be pretty fun. Scoot, Shaedon Sharpe, Anthony Simons. It's going to be a lot of explosive plays. But again, that record is probably not going to be looking very good, especially in the stacked Western Conference. But again, the best part for the Blazers is they're not done with this haul yet. They added Jrue Holiday. They're going to flip him in the near future. And they'll probably get at least another, pick and rotation player out of that. Or, pick and young prospect out of that. So I'm excited to see what comes next on that front. When it comes to teams that I think are targets for Jrue Holiday, I would say I could see the Brooklyn Nets maybe making an offer for him. I could see the Bulls making an offer. I can maybe see the Clippers making an offer. Lakers will probably throw their name in the ring like they do for every available player. Who knows, maybe the Miami Heat run it back. They didn't get Dame, but maybe they try to get the next best option in Jrue Holiday. I think the Raptors and Magic also fall in that same boat where, they missed out on Dame, but maybe they could get the next best option and a good veteran point guard that can lead their young units. And then by the time I'm recording this, one team that's already spoke out about wanting to make an offer is obviously the Sixers, as they're dealing with the James Harden situation. I doubt James Harden would want to play in Portland, but maybe there's another 3-team trade in the works. Maybe Harden can finally get his wish and work his way to the Clippers. And, overall, I think Jrue Holiday to the Sixers makes a whole lot more sense than Damian Lillard to the Sixers. They didn't have the assets to get Dame, but they probably have the assets to go out and get a Jrue Holiday, especially if they're shipping away James Harden in the same deal. Hopefully us NBA fans can get another big trade, another nice Woj bomb before the season officially starts. And at the very least, I think Jrue Holiday will be switching teams. That one seems likely. But overall, man, I'm feeling blessed that we're finally out of this Dame trade saga. He's tweeted out that he seems that he's happy with his destination. I know that was a big thing too about, Dame maybe asking out no matter who he got traded to, unless it was Miami, but, pair him with one of the best players in the league, and I think he's all right. Anyway, that's enough from me. Again, I'm going to try to get this one out quick to y'all, to beat all the other content creators, that are rock hard to make a video about this trade. And most importantly, as a Celtics fan, I do have to say this, but the East is looking pretty rough now with the Bucks taking the top spot. But more important than the Bucks taking that number 1 spot is that Heat fans are down tremendously, and as a Celtics fan, that will always warm my heart for days on end, because the Heat have missed out so much. They lost Giannis and Dame in the same day, and that alone will keep me happy and make me sleep well at night. So see y'all in the next one.